After reading Harry Potter for the first time, most of us probably searched for a Quidditch game, but in the almost 30 years since Harry Potter has been out, none have existed. So I decided that the only way I might ever see that is if I made it myself. I didn't just make Quidditch though, because it didn't feel complete or like a proper game. So I made an entire game mode where you can build a team, win Quidditch Cups, and much more, but you'll have to stick around to see that. I knew when I started making the game that I wanted it to have a retro 2D style. I thought it would be much simpler to code and make art for. Plus, I like the aesthetic from games like Retro Bowl or Google Doodle Baseball. Since I'm a good little coder, I of course came up with the title before doing any actual work. Retro Quidditch was short, self-explanatory, and creative. Don't worry, I won't get too nerdy, but I will give a surface level explanation of the code. First, I'll go over the different positions and their controls. Each position has custom animations and a custom outline, except you will always blink white. The most fun one, in my opinion, is Chaser. If you choose to be the Chaser, you can control your player with WASD and shoot with right click. When you shoot, the ball goes towards the mouse. There are a few other factors, but I won't go into them. It feels really smooth and the aiming is easy to learn. That's all well and good, but the real cool stuff is in the AI. I needed a way for your opponents and teammates to play automatically, so I coded each position its own AI. Each game tick, the first thing the Chaser looks at is who has the ball. If no one does, it just flies towards it. On the other hand, if someone on the other team has it, they play defense. Every player has a preset person that they're guarding, so the Chaser goes halfway between their man and the goal. If the Chaser has the ball, they go through every player and every goal, then sort them into good and bad options. A good option is anyone on their team or any of their goals without an opponent in between. A bad option is anyone on the other team or a blocked good option. Then they will weigh the good options and choose one randomly. Finally, if their teammate has the ball, they will go halfway between them and the goal for their X, then they will go a certain random distance away on their Y. This sets them up in a good position for easy goals. Overall, I think that all these different types of choices create pretty interesting and fun gameplay, even if you're just watching. Next up, the beater. Don't worry, it's not nearly as complicated. If you're the beater, then just hit right click whenever you get close to a bludger and you aim the same way as chasers. Let's be honest, beaters don't have to do much. So for the AI, I just have them all go straight towards a bludger and hit it towards someone on the other team. Not exactly riveting gameplay, but it's sort of funny because they sometimes whiff and just ram headfirst into the bludger. Onto a much more respectable position, keepers. To help make the keeper not just a Chaser 2.0, I didn't let them possess the ball. If it hits them, it just bounces off. I made sure they weren't totally nerfed though by adding the steal. It's really subtle, but really useful. When you get close to a Chaser, you can steal the ball and make them drop it. As a Chaser, you will blink red if the ball gets stolen, and it's a really good way to make sure you can't just score on the keeper every time. To activate your steal, you just press right click as long as you're near a player with the ball. So that's if you're controlling it, but the AI is surprisingly good. The way it works isn't too complicated though. If the quaffle isn't anywhere near the keeper, they just chill there going up and down. But as soon as it gets close, the keeper starts to track it. They have a sort of half donut shape that they can't leave. Then they try to stay between the player and the goal. If the player gets too close, they just steal the ball and wait for their teammates. Finally, the one you've all been waiting for, the Seeker. It isn't as exciting as it seems in the books and movies. You just wait until you spot the snitch and then go and catch it. It's still pretty fun though, because you can dodge the bludgers and follow the other Seeker around until the snitch spawns at a random time. If you fly towards it, it'll try to fly away. Now this is really important. If you're on the snitch, it doesn't do anything. You have to right click to grab it to end the game. It's easy to forget, but really important. That's pretty much it for player control. The AI is also pretty simple. It chooses a randomly generated node anywhere on the field. Then it flies toward it, and when it's within 100 or so pixels, it chooses a new random node. This happens until the snitch spawns in. To make it fair towards any person seeker playing against them, they have to wait a random amount of time before noticing the snitch. Once they do though, they just constantly set their node to it and spam grab. So that's all the positions and all their AIs. I'm done with the game, right? No, it's boring. I need to make it into a real game. I want menus, actual objectives, and something to play through. So I started right away making a whole main menu page and different screens and settings. I'll go over the settings briefly because a lot of them are easily understandable. No seeker mode is where you play for a certain time, and at the end the team with the most points wins. There are no seekers and no snitches. Next, seeker points. This just sets how many points your team gets if your seeker gets the snitch. This is to make it more balanced so the seeker doesn't just control the whole game. There are 4 different difficulties. Easy, medium, and hard are self-explanatory, and dynamic is just a random difficulty every time. You can set your controls to any letters or numbers, so for example if you play with ESDF, then the ability button is just any time I said right click previously. Great, so if you navigate to the game choice menu, you can see there are 3 options. The simplest one is quick play. You can click or scroll through the teams to select houses, and the same thing for positions. Then you just choose which side you prefer and start. I still haven't finished multiplayer, so that will be in a future update. But the other game choice is career. Career's the whole game mode I was talking about before, with all the Quidditch cups and actual structure. Most of the settings for career are the same, but you can choose a name and then if you want 7 years only or not. If you choose 7 years only, then after your 7 years at Hogwarts are up, you can't play games anymore. You can still look at your trophies and team and admire your career. Onto the main career menu. Right through the middle is your schedule. You'll play 9 games a season before playoffs. On the bottom left is settings, which is mostly the same as quick play. The button on the upper left is where the cool stuff starts. If you click on that, you can see all the information about yourself. Everyone starts with a random character, but you can randomize it until you find one that you like the look of. Back on the main screen, the middle button is your roster. On the left, you can scroll through and click each of your teammates to see their skill, year, and position. They leave after their 7th year, so it's better to have younger players. But if you think your teammates aren't good enough and you want better ones, then you go to house points. After each game you win, you get 5 house points, and you can use these to recruit new players. Say your seeker is only 2 skill level, and you want a better one. You can scroll through and find one that is 5 stars and hire him onto your team. But what if you go through all of them and you don't like any of them? Then you can spend 20 points to refresh all the recruits with new ones. So you can build a great team and get house points, and that's cool, but what about the trophy room? How do you win the Quidditch Cup? That's where the last section comes in, standings. You go in and see all of the team's wins, losses, and ties. Then based on their standings, they have a better or worse position in the bracket. At the end of your 9-game season, you play through the bracket to have a chance of winning the cup. After the tournament, you start a new season, and if you win, you get 25 house points. All your players get 1 year older, your 7th years get replaced with new recruits, and your trophy room gets a new addition. Now that you know how the game works, you probably want to see some actual gameplay. So me and my brother both played through career seasons, and these are the highlights.
Catch it. Dude.
Let's go!
Yes!
Let's go! Let's go!
So how do you download this game? Well, first of all, it's gonna cost a like and subscribe, and then you can go check out the other video on my channel, or the link in the description where I go over how you can play. But don't go yet, because I have some plans for the future of this game and of the channel, and I'd like to hear your feedback. For Retro Quidditch, I definitely want to add multiplayer in a future update. Maybe not right away, but definitely eventually. I have a ton of other ideas about games I could make on this channel, but I would love to hear any game ideas you guys have in the comments. I put a lot more effort into this video than some of the other ones on my channel, but I plan to keep up this standard in the future. It was really fun to make this game, and I hope that it's really fun for you guys to play it. With that said, go play the game or watch some of my other videos.